Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night at exactly 3 a.m. to a sound you just can't explain? That strange, unsettling noise that makes the hair on your arms stand up. You tell yourself it's just the wind, or the house settling, or maybe a cat outside. But deep down, a part of you knows it's something not quite right. Tonight, we're going to explore what that sound might be. We're diving deep into the witching hour, that time when the veil between our world and the other side is at its thinnest. This story comes from a viewer. Let's call him Samir. Samir was a typical college student, living in an old apartment building near his campus. The building had character, he told himself. Creaky floors, drafty windows, and a history he knew nothing about. For the first few months, everything was normal. He'd study late, sleep in, and live the usual student life. But then, it started. A faint sound right at 3 a.m. At first, it was barely a whisper. A soft, rhythmic tapping. Tap, 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 tap. Samir would roll over, annoyed, thinking it was a leaky pipe or his neighbor working on something late. He'd put a pillow over his head and force himself back to sleep. But night after night, the sound returned, always at the same time. And slowly, it began to change. The gentle tapping grew louder, more insistent. It sounded less like a pipe and more like someone knocking. Knocking on what? He couldn't tell. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. One night, the knocking was so loud it shook him from a deep sleep. He sat bolt upright, his heart hammering against his ribs. The sound was clear now. It wasn't a pipe. It wasn't a neighbor. It sounded like someone was knocking on the inside of his walls. He got out of bed, his feet cold on the wooden floor, and pressed his ear against the wall. The sound was right there on the other side. A cold dread washed over him. He was on the top floor. There was nothing above him but the roof. There were no rooms inside his walls. The knocking stopped as suddenly as it began. The silence that followed was somehow even more terrifying. Samir stood frozen for a long time, listening. He didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next day, he tried to reason with himself. Maybe it was rats. But the sound was too rhythmic, too deliberate. He asked his neighbors if they'd heard anything. They all looked at him like he was crazy. They'd slept soundly, without a single disturbance. He was the only one hearing it. The sounds continued to evolve. After the knocking, a new sound joined the nightly chorus. A faint scratching. It was like long fingernails dragging slowly down a wooden surface. It would start in one corner of the room and slowly move along the walls, circling him. Samir started sleeping with the lights on. but it made no difference. The sounds came like clockwork. 3 a.m., knocking, then scratching. He was becoming a wreck. His grades slipped. He looked exhausted, haunted. He started researching the history of his building. What he found chilled him to the bone. Decades ago, long before it was an apartment complex, the building had been a sanatorium, a place for people who were unwell. And there were stories, local legends, of a patient who was kept in isolation on the top floor, right where his apartment now stood. The stories said this patient would spend her nights knocking and scratching at the walls of her room, desperate to get out. She passed away in that very room, alone, in the middle of the night. The night after he learned this, Samir was lying in bed, wide awake, waiting. He didn't have to wait long. 3 a.m. The knocking began, louder and more frantic than ever before. Then, the scratching, scraping its way around his room. But this time, there was a new sound. A voice, a faint, raspy whisper that seemed to slither into his ear. It was just one word, repeated over and over. Out, out, out. Samir leaped out of bed and ran. He didn't grab his phone, his wallet, or his keys. He just ran out of the apartment, down the stairs, and into the street. He didn't stop running until the sun came up. He never went back. He left all his belongings behind, transferring to a different college in a different city. He couldn't bear to spend another night in that room. So what was that sound Samir heard? Was it just the imaginings of a stressed-out student? Or was it something more? The 3 a.m. hour, often called the Devil's Hour, is believed by many to be a time of heightened supernatural activity. It's a mirror to the 3 p.m. hour, a time associated with divinity in some beliefs. It's said that at this time, demons and spirits mock the sacred. This is when the barrier between worlds is at its weakest. Many paranormal investigators report that the strangest phenomena, voices, apparitions, physical contact occur between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. It's a time when our bodies are in their deepest stage of sleep, our minds most vulnerable. Skeptics offer scientific explanations. They talk about our sleep cycles, the REM stage, okay, and how our brains can play tricks on us as we hover between sleep and wakefulness. They mention infrasound, low-frequency sounds below the range of human hearing that can cause feelings of unease, dread, and even hallucinations. Old buildings, with their complex networks of pipes and drafts, are perfect generators of infrasound. But can science explain everything? Can it explain the rhythmic knocking that seems to come from inside a solid wall? The scratching that follows you around the room? The whispered words that no one else hears? Samir doesn't think so. For him, the sound was real. The presence was real. The fear was real. Think about it. In the dead of night, when the world is quiet, our senses are heightened. We notice every creak, every groan of the house. Is it just the building settling? Or is it the house remembering? Remembering the people who lived and died within its walls. Remembering their joy, their sorrow, and their pain. Perhaps these sounds are just echoes of the past, trapped in a loop, replaying themselves at the same time, night after night. A kind of residual haunting. Or maybe it's something more intelligent, more aware. A spirit trapped and lonely, trying to make contact, trying to share its story, or perhaps its torment. The patient in the sanatorium, knocking and scratching, wanting someone to know she was there. Wanting someone to finally let her out. Maybe by running, Samir did exactly what the spirit wanted. He left the room, leaving the door open for it to finally be free. These stories are more common than you might think. All over the world, people report waking up at this ungodly hour to sounds they can't identify. A child's laughter in an empty house. The faint sound of music from a room that's been locked for years. The heavy footsteps of someone walking down the hall when you know you're alone. Each story is unique, yet they all share that same core element of unexplainable nocturnal dread. So, the next time you're woken up at 3 a.m. by a strange sound, what will you do? Will you pull the covers over your head and pray for morning? Or will you get up, be brave, and try to find the source? Maybe you'll discover it as just a loose shutter or a branch tapping against the window. But maybe, just maybe, you'll discover you're not as alone as you thought. The world is full of mysteries, and some of the deepest and darkest ones only come out to play when the rest of the world is asleep. Be careful what you listen for in the dark. You might just hear it. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the shadows. If you have your own 3 a.m. story, share it in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration of the unknown. Stay safe, and whatever you do, try to get a good night's sleep